What's going on, everyone? Data report for datareport.info here with this climate weather update for the United States. As you can see here, the map for the most part is fairly quiet with exceptions to some areas. Here in the east, we do have a coastal system that's going on in the Mid-Atlantic region and in the mountains of the Carolinas, North Carolina, and Virginia, West Virginia. Even in some parts of eastern Tennessee, there is some snow falling. Out on the west coast, we do have a storm system brewing in the west coast that's causing for there to be winter storm warnings, watches, and even high wind warnings. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Here's a storm in the east, as you can see here. It's coming to the north, but it's really starting to put on the brakes as it tries to enter into Pennsylvania. It can only get so far north because there is a wedge of dry air, which is preventing it from getting further north. So places like here in Philadelphia, I can show you, we're actually having a tough time. As you can see here, the precipitation's really falling apart as it's hitting that brick wall of dry air. And that same thing can be seen here if we go to the DC radar. Look at around Hagerstown. You're not getting any precipitation right now because it's hitting that brick wall of dry air. Taking a look out on the west coast, you can see here there is a disturbance right near the Mexico-California border, and that is going to cause active weather here, especially in the Four Corners region. Alrighty, we have some record temperatures to report on from the last several days. Here's one from yesterday. Marathon, Florida, which is the Key West area, had reported 86 degrees. That is a high record that was previously set in 1986 and 2019. So it looks like this is a tie. So they tied it and did not actually break it, but they tied the record. There's another record to report on. Back on Friday, February 10th, in the Hartford area at the Bradley Airport, the temperature was 62 degrees, smashing the old record of 55 degrees that was set back in 1909. That's a 114-year record. It was beaten by 7 degrees. And we do have a couple more to show you here. Clarksburg, West Virginia on Thursday hit 77 degrees. The old record was 75 back in 1937. Huntington, West Virginia, 76, beating the old record of 74 back in 1937. Raleigh, North Carolina, hit 75, beating their record of 74, set back in 1994. Richmond, 74, beating the record of 72 back in 1990. And finally, Morgantown, West Virginia, hit 74, beating the record back of 73 back in 1937. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the GFS, shall we? Which is one of the weather models I like to use. And as you'll see here on the GFS, let's get the correct where I'm going here. 18Z is actually coming in now. What we want is the 12Z. And here's our storm system in the south, as you can see. And this really tries to come north, but like I said, it hits the dry air. And this system that's up here in Canada is actually pushing it southeast. They eventually do link up. That's way out in the Atlantic. Now look at the west coast here. Here's our system off the South California coast. That comes on shore. Provides some snow in the mountains. There's also another system up here in the northwest that also provides some snow in the high elevations of the mountains where they could see snowfall amounts of over a foot in the highest elevations. And this system does come east, and we have to watch this. I talked about this on the Friday video, I believe it was. It could potentially cause some severe weather. Here's your colder air. Here's the warm, moist air coming up ahead of it. And look what happens along that. You destabilize, and it creates an area of instability and convection along the front. So in Alabama and Mississippi, and even some parts of Tennessee, you have to watch out for a few isolated tornadoes. The further north you are, it's a lesser risk for tornadoes, but these southern locations, if you see enough sun ahead of this and instability, it definitely could be something to watch because there's going to be a lot of shear with this event. I will say this, though. Compared to Friday, the models have backed off slightly, so it's not looking as impressive. It looked like maybe it was going to be a day where the SPC goes enhanced risk. It still could, but it's not as impressive as it looked a couple days ago. So that's some good news. And as this comes east, Friday it will hit the East Coast, probably in the early morning hours. And as for the East Coast, we're not talking about severe weather. We're just talking about an area of rain along the front. There may even be a little bit of snow on the backside of this for portions of Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Nothing major. And at that point, it would be kind of what you call an antifront, where there's moisture on both sides of the front. The cold air is going to rush in, and there's enough moisture left behind that some areas do change to snow behind it. After this, colder air moves in, and then after that, that cold air is yet again brief, like we have seen a lot of times this winter. Let's take a look at the temperatures here. We'll back it up. We'll start taking a look at the temperatures for early in the week. So as you see here, here's the current system that's exiting off the East Coast. That's causing a little bit of colder air. Then the system comes down from Canada, so extreme portions of New England, little cold air, but look at the rest of the country. Yeah, you're talking 60s and 70s down here on the Gulf Coast, even 80s in Florida, 80s in southern Texas. And watch what happens here on Thursday. Warm air just really comes up to the coast, almost up to the Mason-Dixon line, and this will actually be a case where Thursday night the temperatures could actually continue rising in the mid-Atlantic region, even at the nighttime, because the peak of the warm air will be around, say, between 9 and midnight before the cold front actually comes through in the east. Look behind us. Really cold air up here in the North Plains, where you can see temperatures actually go below zero. And a piece of that cold air does come in to the Northeast. But again, look what happens. By the end of next weekend, it's gone already. It lasts for 2 days, and yet again another warm spell. And that really fits what the Climate Prediction Center is talking about, and let's get to that now. So here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Most of the areas east of the Mississippi above average temperatures. The West Coast stays below average. Here we go with the 8 to 14 day. The West Coast stays below average. The dividing line is right where the Mississippi River is, and all the East Coast is well above average. There isn't even a snow threat on the GFS model until we get about 250 hours, and anything over 200 hours on these models is completely inaccurate, and sometimes we see big changes even over 150 hours. And here you go. Now we're coming into what's called fantasy range. This is long range. This is not this Thursday. It's the following Thursday. It will be completely different each run. And it's finally showing a snow threat, but to be honest with you, the pattern is not favorable. It's what's called thread the needle, meaning everything has to line up perfectly. This high that it shows here would have to be there. Everything would have to be perfect. And the pattern just doesn't support it. Real quickly, I want to show you the Storm Prediction Center. So Wednesday, there's a small chance of severe storms over Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, northern Louisiana, western Tennessee, and northeast Texas. The biggest threat, as stated, is going to be on Thursday from the Gulf Coast up to the Ohio Valley, where there could be a potential for some isolated tornadoes. 1 or 2 in Alabama could be on the stronger side. Alrighty, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching this little weather update talk video. I'm Data Report for datareport.info, and if you like the content I do on my channel, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, everyone.